Welcome to Stab the Dragon Productions, episode number 201. Today is Saturday, February 15th, 2025. It is currently 71 degrees in Fort Worth, Texas, a very nice winter's day. But next week the weather changes. We are conducting a short Canadian whiskey tournament, so I am reviewing some whiskeys from Canada and then pitting them against each other in a blind tasting with three brackets. Currently, we're doing the basic blends, Crown Royal, Canadian Club 1858, Canadian Mist, and Seagram's VO, with Black Velvet uh, coming in as number 5 there. And so that's kind of an odd number to do a tournament. To do a tournament, ideally, you have an even number. But there's a method to the madness here. Now, after the series of reviews and the basic tournaments done, I'll move to the next level up, meaning Crown Black and the other Crown varieties, Canadian Club 9 and 12, Black Velvet Reserve, and maybe VO Gold as well. So after that series, we'll examine the rye whiskeys. So those are the series that I have planned. But right now, it's the basic blends coming in at 80 proof. And tonight, we're going into the losers bracket of the losers branch, I guess, of the first bracket. Crown Royal Fine Deluxe versus Canadian Mist. So here's the contestants tonight. Canadian Mist and Crown Royal Fine Deluxe. Now, the rules, this will be a blind comparison, so I'm using two blacked out Glencairns. Number 1 on the bottom is Canadian Mist, and number 2 on the bottom is Crown Royal Fine Deluxe. So I've mixed them up. I don't know which is which, and I will evaluate the whiskeys a little bit on history, bottle, label, and marketing. I'll nose the whiskeys, but really the winner is going to be based primarily on taste, palate, mouthfeel, burn, finish, drinkability. And in case of a tie, I look at the price and availability as the tiebreaker. Just for fun, I do try to guess which whiskey is in which glass. Last week I failed miserably in that guessing. And, it may have had to do with something that I ate. I don't know. But Crown Royal lost to Seagram's VO. And that was a very surprise. And I really could not identify which was which by taste. They tasted the same. I mean, that was really surprising. But that's why you do these blind tastings. But I do think that maybe what I ate had something to do with that. So I think it's been long enough now since I've eaten that maybe the taste thing won't get in the way here. But again, the bottom line is drinkability. That is, which of these two whiskeys would I prefer 3 out of 5 nights if I was offered both of these whiskeys 5 nights in a row? The winner might get a cocktail at the end. So again, let's look at the contestants. First of all, Crown Royal Fine Deluxe. Now this is, depending on what source you use, either the number 1 or the number 2 best-selling whiskey in America. It is definitely the best-selling Canadian whiskey in America, but sometimes this comes in ahead of Jack Daniel's with some of the lists that I have seen online. There's not really any authoritative list, but you have to kind of look at several. This is an 80 proof non-age stated blend made from about 50 whiskeys, coming to us from Gimli, Manitoba, on the shores of Lake Winnipeg. The interesting part about the history here is this whiskey was developed by Samuel Bronfman at Seagram's for the 1939 visit by King George VI. It is presently owned by Diageo, a British company. And the cost, here in Fort Worth, Goody Goody has it for $24.99, so does Total Wine, and then Specs is $23.97. Again, previously in the tournament, this whiskey lost to Seagram's VO. And in my review of Crown Royal, I actually gave it a better score. I gave it an 81 and a drinkability score of B+. So that's why I was surprised that it lost. Now let's look at Canadian Mist. This comes to us from Collingwood, Ontario, where the distillery was built in 1968 by Barton, specifically to craft a Canadian whiskey for Americans. It's got a corn base and then rye for flavor plus some malted barley. This brand is currently owned by the American company Sazerac. Weighing in at 80 proof and non-age stated, which means 3 years old in Canadian. This whiskey cost me $11.99 here in this plastic bottle at Goody Goody. Total Wine has it for $17.99, but that's for a 1.75, and then Specs also has a 750 at $11.46. So this is, about as low as it gets here in the whiskey business. And in the Tourney, this whiskey lost its first round to Canadian Club 1858. And in my review, I gave the whiskey a 66 total score and a C+ for drinkability. So Crown Royal in this match is clearly favored, but it was favored last week against VO as well, and it ended up losing. So those are the contestants. On to the contest. In scoring this, I'm going to give the history clearly to Crown Royal. It's just got a more interesting past. Bottle, label, and marketing. I think clearly the bottle for Crown Royal is pretty nice. The label's nice. Plastic jug gets you negative points. Sorry. Although, there's a utility to that. I suppose you could pack that in a suitcase without fear of, breakage. So, there's a practical side to that, I guess, but the aesthetics of it are just not there. The appearance of these whiskeys is really very, very similar. Here, let me hold these up. I think the Crown is darker. Clearly, there. Crown is darker, so. Now on to the nosing, and here in these glasses, I don't know which is which. So I'm just going to start with the one on my left, and my nose is really not very adequate for smelling whiskeys. This one I do smell something. Have a little whiskey sweetness going on, and that's about it. Nothing too definitive, just a vague sweetness. And unfortunately, that's about all my nose is good for. Now the one on the right. This one a little bit more pungent. Not exactly harsh, but not as sweet smelling as the first one. So I will have to say it's pretty close to a draw. It's just a slight difference. So because this one had the weaker nose, or at least the less pleasant nose, I will start with the one on my right. Remember that the number 1 on the bottom stands for Canadian Mist. Number 2 on the bottom is Crown Royal. So let's go in for a taste. That is sweet, pleasant. Hints of brown sugar, spice, maybe a little bit of maple syrup going on there. A little bit of wood. All in all, favorable. That's an easy sip. Not bad at all. Okay. That one's got, more complexities than I would have thought. Maybe even some hints of tobacco going in there. Definitely some wood. All right, let's cleanse the palate. Some highly carbonated Topo Chico is great for cleansing the palate. All right, the one for the left, again, it had a more pleasant nose. That is a far simpler taste. Mildly sweet, but nothing rich, nothing deep. Not as much spice. Nothing unpleasant. Just doesn't have near as much going on as the first one. So what I'm guessing is that this one on my left is the Mist. And this one on the right is the Crown. That's my guess. Let me sample these one more time. Yeah, I'm going to say the one on the right is the winner. If I had to choose between these two, I would prefer the one on the right. And I think it's going to be number 2, Crown Royal. But whichever it is, this is the winner. Oh my goodness. Wow. Blew me away. That's number 1, Canadian Mist. There is no way. How does Crown Royal lose to Canadian Mist? Unbelievable. I'm shocked. 2 weeks in a row, I have chosen another whiskey over Crown Royal. Wow. Okay. Well, we've got a winner, and it's not Crown Royal. So the Canadian Mist won that match fair and square. I don't know what to say. I'm shocked. All right, well, I guessed wrong on the which is which. So now the winner, Canadian Mist, gets a cocktail. So stand by, and I'll make a cocktail and be right back. Okay, I am back, and I have poured a shot glass full of Canadian Mist, the winner. And I have here an IBC Cream Soda. Full bore sugar. This is not diet. I have tried these Canadian whiskeys in cocktails using RC Cola, Coca-Cola, ginger ale, and now this is the first time I've tried the IBC. So I pour a little bit of the IBC cream soda in there, then I add the whiskey, and then top it off with more cream soda. There we go. So I'm not much for cocktails. I just haven't done that many. And so, I've done with IBC, I think I've done Jack Daniels and maybe a Scotch. And it worked with the IBC. Really, really did. Turned out quite good. So I'm anxious to see how Canadian Mist comes out with this cream soda. You know what? That's pretty good. I think I like that better than with the RC. Okay, well, we have a winner. Canadian Mist wins in the losers bracket. So what happens next week is that Black Velvet's going to enter the contest, and it will take on the loser of the losers bracket, which is Crown Royal, and see if Black Velvet can claw its way up the chain and see if Crown Royal continues to lose. But for now, this is Stab the Dragon, out here.